G'day guys, welcome to my RX Plus feature video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about NRL Round 18's recap preview for 2021. Guys, let's get started. So starting off with this first match of that game, we see the Titans going up against the Parramatta Eels. This game was pretty much tight. I knew the Parramatta Eels were going to win. My prediction was the Parramatta Eels anyway, so I knew for a fact that the Parramatta Eels were going to win this game for sure, and they obviously did, 26 points to 8, and I know this game was going to be close, only because I know for a fact that a couple of the players from the Gold Coast Titans were going to be in anyway, so I knew for a fact that they would. But this game was going to be real tight and real hard, but obviously I know that the Titans aren't really much of a ball-playing team. I know that they are, but when certain things like that happen, it comes to the wire of what has to happen. But in that game, the Titans, I thought they were going to win, and I thought maybe a 20% chance of an upset, but the Parramatta Eels got in the role of basically winning this game by a couple of points anyway. I knew it wasn't going to be a big of a margin, but obviously no Mitchell Moses in that game. That match was just absolutely very tight in that game, and obviously in this game was just like a mind reading. I knew this game was going to be pretty much a tight game, but I wasn't expecting a low score line in this game. I was predicting Parramatta Eels going to be putting a high scoring game against the Titans, but the Titans are a really good team. I'm not saying that they aren't, but they are a really good team. And obviously, with AJ Brimson coming into that team, he does that work. He does the work. He does the finish. He's a really good player. And so is Brian Kelly, that scored the try anyway for the Titans. That game was pretty much a tight match anyway. So, yeah, well done from the Parramatta Eels for making a really good win against the Gold Coast Titans, 26 points to 8. The next game of that match, we see the Sea Eagles going up against the Dragons. Now, in this game, I knew for a fact that the Dragons weren't going to get a win. I was going to say, if the Dragons were going to really put some pressure on the Manly Sea Eagles, but without no Matt Duffy in that game, which that means Tyrell Sloan came in for that number 1 jersey for Matt Duffy anyway. So this game was pretty much a tight game, and obviously with no Zach Lomax and no Daniel Alvaro in that game, sees the coming of the players, switching and reshuffling the players and stuff. But what I did think in this game was a high scoring match, and usually the Manly Sea Eagles go by a working finish, and they obviously are. I have a gut feeling in this game, in that game, that the Manly Sea Eagles are a really good team, and they obviously are, because last couple of weeks they were off the rates. They weren't really a good of a team, and plus they were struggling so much. But obviously with no Tom Travojevic, which that means Ruben Garrett came into that number 1 squad, but obviously with the number 5 jersey for the Manly Sea Eagles, that game was pretty much, even though with no Tommy Travojevic in that game, still the Manly Sea Eagles won in that game, 32 points to 18 in that match. Was very particular game in this match. I was going to predict if this game's going to be a real tight game, the Manly Sea Eagles were going to win, and they obviously did. That match was just a finisher. The Manly Sea Eagles are just on fire at the moment, and I can't help the way they are, and they just credit to the team, and they are a really good team, and I just have a gut feeling that they will have a better season this year, but I just have a gut feeling that half of the season next year they won't, but most likely they will. Just guessing about that. But yeah, well done from the Manly Sea Eagles for making a really good win against the Dragons, 32 points to 18 in that match. The next game of that match, we see the Cowboys going up against the Raiders. Now, in that match, was absolutely pretty much particular, even though no James Tedesco, which that means Joseph Manu, came into that squad of that team. That means Billy Smith came into that number 4, replacing Joseph Manu in that game. I had a gut feeling in this game that it was going to be pretty much a particular match, and obviously the Roosters still got a win, even though they still had no James Tedesco in that game, which that means that created that spark and gratefulness in that game. Without him, it would have been no talent in that game, but still, it would have been like a really good match anyway. But for the Cowboys, I know that they are struggling with no Valentine Holmes. I heard that Javen Bowen will be out for the season due to an injury. I'm not too sure. I heard about it, but Javen Bowen is going to be out for the season. So that's a little bit of a breaking news for you guys that doesn't know that Javen Bowen will be out. And obviously Valentine Holmes didn't play, so with obviously I think it was shoulder injury, I believe, so that would have mean David Bowen would have been into that squad of that team, but obviously Hamiso Tepawai-Fidel was in that number one squad for the fullback side in that game. So in this one, 34-18 in that game, and I was just absolutely shocked how the way the Roosters played, and they are a really good team, and I cannot believe they won that game. And it was just like a very surprising win and very term of event, because usually the Cowboys play a really good match, but I didn't think that they were going to win or lose. But this game was going to be a turnout point, but I didn't know if the Roosters or the Cowboys were going to win. But luckily, the Roosters won in that game, and that was a very surprising win, 34-18 in that match anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Raiders going up against the Sharks now. Another 34-18 match, which that means that game was absolutely pretty much an average lead by the Raiders that obviously got a win. This game was just really term of event, because obviously I know that this match was just absolutely really particular game. And obviously like no Bailey Simonson and obviously no Transenico Klogstad. Which that means obviously Xavier Savage made his debut and scored his debut try in that game anyway. Congratulations and well done to you. Credit to you. You are a really good player for that team, and you deserve to play for the Raiders in that team. But the Sharks, though, I heard a little bit of rumours, 2 rumours actually, which I know for a fact that 2 players will be going to the New Zealand Warriors next year, which that means is Chad Townsend and Sean Johnson, but Sean Johnson is still going to be playing for the Cronulla Sharks, which I know for a fact that he will be anyway. So yeah, that's a bit of good news. So that game was pretty much a really good win by the Raiders. I heard like sometimes that the Raiders usually lose, and then they win, they lose, they win, they lose. It's a bit of a confusing like lead anyway, but which I know for a fact that they are a really good team. Which I know for a fact that if they first against like terrible teams, that they will win. And if they first, say for instance like the Melbourne Storm, that they will probably like either win or lose, but that game would be pretty much a hard a game in that match. But then the Raiders and the Sharks, that game was pretty much a tight match, so well done from the Raiders for making a really good win against the Cronulla Sharks, 34-18. The next game of that match, we see the Storm going up against the Knights now. I heard that they still had Kalen Ponga for the Newcastle Knights, but still didn't get a win, unfortunately. I feel so sorry for the Newcastle Knights. They are struggling so much with no Bradman Best due to an ankle injury. Obviously, like with Kurt Mann, Nari Tuala, like them 2 are playing still. But then obviously like no Mitchell Pearce. Oh wait, no, sorry. Mitchell Pearce, I think he did play. I'm not too sure about that. It kind of confused me a little bit. But obviously, that game was just a firing up game, and obviously the Melbourne Storm are a very, very solid team that they just cannot weaken themselves at all. And obviously I know for a fact that the Storm are a really base team. Without like no Josh Adokar, Dean Eremaya replaced him on the number 5 jersey of that squad. He played really well. So did Cameron Munster. So did Jerome Hughes. He played an absolute really good game. So did Nico Hines. I believe he played an absolute thriller. He played an absolute wonderful game. But in that match, 48 points to 4. I can't really predict how good of a scoreline that was. But I thought, to myself, was it going to go past 50 or not? But then it wasn't. Only 2 points, below, it would have been, another try, then, 54 points to 4 or something like that. But then, the Newcastle Knights aren't really good at the moment, and I feel so sorry for the Newcastle Knights. They are a really good team, but I just didn't think that they are going to go well in this season, and they aren't at the moment, so I just feel so sorry for the Newcastle Knights, and yeah, well done from the Melbourne Storm for making a really good win, 48 points to 4 against the Newcastle Knights in that game. The next game of that match, we see the Warriors going up against the Panthers. Now, in this game, the Warriors, they were not a very good team at the moment, but then obviously, how the way that they did play was just absolutely, a really good match by them, but unfortunately, though, they aren't really good at a team at the moment, and I just don't think that they are, and for this game, the Panthers, they are a second team like the Storm, and obviously for this match, 30 points to 16 in that game was basically an average scoreline in that match. I knew for a fact, though, that obviously in this game, the Panthers, without no Nathan Cleary and no Jerome Luai, which that means Matt Burton and Tyrone May, number 6 and 7, them two played. Obviously Matt Burton, number 6, and then Tyrone May, number 7. Them two played really well, and I just had a gut feeling that still the Panthers would have gotten a very good lead in that game. And they obviously did, because can't stop them, because they are a very solid team like the Melbourne Storm. Charlie Staines was playing a really good match, and he obviously scored a try in that game to seal the deal. And plus, in this match, I knew that in this game was going to be a real top finisher by this team. And basically for this game, I knew for this match it was going to be a solid game, and I thought maybe the Warriors was going to get an upset, but then I didn't think in this game the Warriors weren't, because going up against the Panthers are a very solid team, and that they are a very hard team to beat. So yeah, that game was just pretty much a solid game by 30 points to 16 for the Panthers to beat the Warriors in that game. The next game of that match, we see the Broncos going up against the West Tigers now. 42 points to 24. I thought the Broncos were going to get a win in this game, but then the West Tigers absolutely flogged them. 42 to 24 in that game. I didn't think that the Broncos were going to lose in that game. But then the West Tigers came out firing in the second half, and they played an absolute really good game. And for this match, leading from 18 points to 18, I didn't think this match was going to be a pretty tight game. And the West Tigers, though, they are a really good team. I just didn't think that they were going to win in that game. And based on that, I just didn't believe that the West Tigers were going to really put more points on against the Broncos. But the Broncos, though, they are a very solid team. Not really, but they are. And still, I thought in that game that they were going to have a really good win, but they didn't. And I thought to myself that in this game, I didn't think that in that match was going to be a very solid game. And for this match to be a very solid game, this game was just very intensifying. I just had a gut feeling that the West Tigers, though, since they had no James Roberts, Tommy Talau replaced him, and obviously, like, no Albert Kelly, no David Mead. I just didn't think in this game was going to go to plan. But, safe to say, luckily, the West Tigers won that match 42-24 in that game. And finally, the next game of this match, we see the Rabbitohs going up against the Bulldogs. Now, this game was really terrible because the first half, like, in a matter of minutes, well, actually, I'm going to say this last. The Bulldogs, though, they are a really good team. Lachlan Lewis, though, is a really good player. I'm just going to say this in the last bit after I finished. This game was going to be a really good game by the Bulldogs. And the first half, the Rabbitohs, they didn't play a really good game. Because, obviously, the Bulldogs, they were a really good team to obviously get, like, a very good win for the first half. But then in the second half, the Rabbitohs, though, they played an absolute really good game. 32-24 for that scoreline in that game. And obviously in this match, I didn't think in this game was going to be a very, very most particular big of a win. But then obviously the Bulldogs aren't going as planned because they're still sitting on 16th position anyway. And they aren't going to obviously be good for the season. Okay. Now, I'm on to this. When halftime was going to obviously happen, Lachlan Lewis did the most stupid, and the most stupidest thing I've ever seen to Cody Walker. I heard that Cody Walker said to Lachlan Lewis, go back to first grade. But still, for Lachlan Lewis, throwing Cody Walker on the ground and starting a blue, he wants to know better. Because that's so disrespectful for his team. And plus, he would have let himself down. And I know I'm being negative because you don't do that. I know that people most certainly, they get frustrated. But still, I don't think that he should do that at all. And that was basically the most dumbest move I've ever seen. And the most thing, like, they would have caused a fight was basically high tackles. Usually high tackles maybe cause a fight. But for that last tackle going into halftime, you don't throw someone on the ground. And that is just the most dumbest move. But anyway, let's not worry about that. I cannot believe it though. But luckily the Rabbitohs won that game. And yeah, job well done for the Rabbitohs to make it a really good win against the Bulldogs. 32 points to 24 in that game. Thanks guys for watching my video, guys. Stay tuned for more. We'll be doing a couple of videos coming to you guys soon. Also, I'll be doing more videos coming to you guys soon, so stay tuned for more. Plus, leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and for this video. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care guys. Stay safe and have a good one. Plus, let's get up to 300 subscribers. We're sitting on 215 anyway. So let's get up to that. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.